Summer movie season is just about over. The kids are heading back to school. That means it's time to look at the fall and give you my picks for my most anticipated movies for the rest of 2021. Hi, my name is Sean, and I love to talk about movies way too much. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comment section. Let me know, what fall 2021 movies are you most anticipating? There's nothing magic about my list. I'm just letting you know what I'm excited about. It's also a little bit tough to do videos like this when we know that the next round of delays are probably right around the corner. So fingers crossed all of these movies actually come out in the year 2021. Also, there is a companion video to this over on my Patreon page with 10 more movies that I'm excited to see in the fall of 2021. Join at any level and you can unlock that video as well as 100 more exclusive videos and 100 exclusive live streams. The link is down below in the description, and let's get started. Kicking things off, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Now, if you're familiar with my channel at all, you know I absolutely love the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so inherently I'm always excited for new releases. But the other thing that has me excited about this one is director Destin Daniel Cretton. He's a director that over the last few years has made several movies that are just like in tune with the wavelength of my heart. He tells stories about people in a way that absolutely tugs at my heartstrings. So I'm fascinated in what he will be able to do telling a story inside of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, at this point in time, we've gotten a couple of full-length trailers. Neither one of them really blew me away. I mean, they're fine, but they're pretty generic MCU stuff. I was hoping at this point in time there'd be a little bit more in the trailers that popped, that stood out, and besides my inherent love for the MCU and the fact that I like the director, I wanted there to be a little bit more to it, kind of drawing me in. It's not quite there yet, but nothing's like alienated me either, so it's in my top 10, but not as high as I would have hoped. Number 9, King Richard, a sports movie starring Will Smith as the father of Venus and Serena Williams. I actually am a very big fan of sports movies. I don't follow a whole lot of sports, but I think sports naturally lend themselves to movies really well, especially when they're real life stories about these larger than life stories. Will Smith has been trying to get that Oscar for a very long time. Maybe this is the time. The trailer that we got shows that he's getting to do both the Oscar bait stuff as well as charismatic Will Smith stuff. And with such a great real life story, seems like there's a lot of potential for something awesome. Next up, The Matrix 4. Now, this is an interesting one for me because on the one hand, I have absolutely no idea if this movie will be awesome or awful. It's a movie where the original Matrix is one of the greatest sci-fi action movies of all time, and the sequels, in particular the third one, some of the worst sequels of all time that deconstructed and ruined their own awesome mythology, and I have absolutely no idea what to expect from a fourth movie. Also, in the last 20 years, the Wachowskis have not had the best track record as a writing and directing team, and so I don't know what to make of that either. What I do know is that at one point in time, they created The Matrix. So there's always that hope that something amazing will come of it. And then just beyond that, because I love the first one so much, my natural curiosity for this film is very high. Number 7, Last Night in Soho. If you're not familiar with this one, it is a horror film from director Edgar Wright. And if you've just first watched the trailer, you think it's kind of like a serious period piece drama, and then as it goes along, it gets weirder and then creepier and then all out horror by the time you get to the end of it. Edgar Wright is one of the top working directors today. He's so fresh, energetic in his style. He's not just cranking out random movies. He only does what he wants to do, to the extent that he was supposed to direct Ant-Man, but when he felt it was going to be an MCU movie, not an Edgar Wright movie, he decided to leave. So if he wants to tell this horror story, I want to see this horror story. Then we have Malignant, the latest horror movie from James Wan. I would argue that James Wan is the top horror director of the last 20 years, giving us the first movie in the Saw franchise, giving us the first movie in the Insidious franchise, giving us the first 2 Conjuring movies, and now that he is a top-tier director that has directed a billion-dollar film, actually a couple of billion-dollar films, he's returning to the horror genre, and this is what he wanted to tell. Now that he has the freedom to do whatever he wants as a director, he's kind of on top of the world, and he wanted to tell this specific story. That means I am naturally very interested. One of the things that makes him so great is that he is a solid storyteller that cares about characters, but he also does a lot of practical stunt work and practical effects. And to me, that just looks better. It's creepier, it's scarier, and I can't wait to see what he's up to. Real quick, before I moved into the top 5, I wanted to give a couple of runner-ups, some under-the-radar films that people aren't talking about as much at the moment. First up is Reminiscence. It stars Hugh Jackman from the creative team behind the current version of Westworld. In particular, it's being directed by Jonathan Nolan's partner on Westworld. It looks like an interesting sci-fi tale that I want to check out. Second one is The Protege. It's an action thriller of the John Wick vein from director Martin Campbell. Now, this is one of these directors that did GoldenEye, Casino Royale, The Mask of Zorro. He's done a bunch of great stuff, and he's very solid at doing movies like this. It's got Michael Keaton thrown into the mix. So this is one I can't wait to check out. Last one on here is Cop Shop. This is a new film from director Joe Carnahan. I hadn't heard anything about it until I watched Cody Leach's video of the same title, and he was talking about it, and immediately I couldn't wait to see the film. It's got Gerard Butler, a couple other people in it. Joe Carnahan is just great at these throwback action thrillers. It's my thing. I want to check this one out. In 5th place, Halloween Kills, the long-delayed Halloween film that we finally got a trailer for just a couple months back, and it looks absolutely brutal. The big complaint about the trailer was that they just showed way too many of the kills. And it showed a whole lot of kills, which is exactly what I want to see in a Halloween film. Now, I thoroughly enjoyed about 80% of the Halloween revival from a few years back. It hit all the right notes for me, and there's just a couple of missteps at a couple of points in times. But just in general, I think they got it right, and I was interested to see what was next. That trailer they put out makes it look like they pulled it off, and it's the movie that I want to see. In 4th place, SpiderMan No Way Home. Now, if you've been tracking with my most anticipated lists over the last year, you know that I've had my reservations about this film because I would have preferred a more traditional Spider-Man movie for Spider-Man 3. They've sent Spider-Man to Washington, D.C. They've sent him to space. They sent him to Europe. Now they're sending him to the multiverse. I would have liked it if they had just stayed in New York City in the Big Apple swinging around. With all of that said, with everything they've done on Disney Plus, setting up the multiverse, with all the rumors that we have about who's going to be in this movie, I'm at that point in time that I want to see this. It actually started to get me excited about all the possibility, all the teases. There's so much smoke and rumors and set photos and people might be here, they might be there. Enough stuff that at this point in time, I'm very excited. Also, with the fact that they haven't put out a trailer yet, it's just kind of building even more anticipation and excitement. And the other thing that's helped it out just a little bit is that with Shang-Chi's trailers and Eternals not fully like blowing me away, it also helped that this one doesn't have a trailer that kind of underwhelmed me a little bit, so it moved up by comparison. Before I give you my top 3, remember to join me down below in the comments section. Let me know what movies you're excited to check out. My list isn't the right list, just my list. I would love to see yours. Also, remember, if I left something out that you're really excited about, it doesn't mean I'm not excited for it. It could just be in the companion video that's over on Patreon. Join at any level, as low as $2 per month or $20 per year, and you can get all the exclusive videos I put out in the entire year, including my 10 more most anticipated movies of 2021. The link is down below in the description. In 3rd place is No Time to Die. Die, the James Bond film that keeps getting delayed. Starting in 2029, I started watching through all the James Bond movies and doing rankings with my buddy Griffin, and then the movie kept getting delayed, and so we haven't been able to complete that series. And as long as this one keeps its release date, that series should start up in just about a month again, where we'll rank the Lazenby and Dalton movies together. Anyway, as for No Time to Die, it looks like a great send-off for Daniel Craig as Bond. The trailers have been filled with just a bunch of these big, cool action shots where you can see everything that's taking place, thrilling, exciting stuff. And then beyond that, it's just showing James Bond in a different phase of life, different from how we've usually seen him, and giving him more humanity, as the Craig version of the character has typically had a bit more humanity. So it's everything that I love about the Craig films with some even bigger action. I can't wait to see it. Our runner-up, Ghostbusters Afterlife. Now, I grew up on the original Ghostbusters as well as the cartoon The Real Ghostbusters. This series has just such an important place in my life, and most importantly, Sean Chandler Talks About was started because on a date night I went to go see Ghostbusters 2016 and went, hey, I want to share my thoughts on that. The next day I posted my review, and that led to this channel growing into what it is today and literally giving me an all-new career path, which is pretty cool. So I owe the Ghostbusters franchise quite a bit, but beyond that, this looks like an interesting new direction to take the franchise. It's not trying to just copy the original film, but it's set in that continuity and continuing the story in a new environment. So it still has the ghosts, the scares, the proton packs, but without being a rehash, without doing a bunch of improv comedy like the Lady Ghostbusters movie. Beyond that, it's from the director of the original Ghostbusters. His son is taking over the helm on this one. So you just know there's a lot of respect for the material. He actually acted in Ghostbusters 2 in a specific scene. You know that he's doing his best to respect what came before, understands what made it work, and has the best mentor you could possibly have for a project like this in his father. So it's got Paul Rudd in the mix, who I absolutely love. Everything I've seen about this movie looks like it's the right movie for me. But coming in at number one, obviously, is Paw Patrol the movie. Now, this is a franchise that I've always had a fondness for. I don't know where it started. Okay, I don't know anything about Paw Patrol, so I can't even riff right now. I have never seen anything Paw Patrol, not even the trailer for this movie, so this joke went nowhere. But really coming in at number one is Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun is another one of these movies that I grew up with and absolutely But coming in first place is Top Gun Maverick. This is another movie that I grew up watching on repeat. I've seen it roughly 1,387 times. That's a lot of my life watching this movie. I also had the soundtrack on vinyl, which I listened to all the time. And it's a movie that Tom Cruise has been trying to get made for absolutely forever. And one of the guys in this movie went to the same high school as me. So it is destined for me to be excited for this movie. As soon as they put out the trailers, though, it became very clear this is a movie that has a reverence for the original. It's not trying to rework it for the 21st century. It's not trying to guess what audiences want now. It's staying true to what worked before. Who Maverick was at the time, he's just an older version of that. He's still a maverick. And that's what I loved about the trailer. It leans into what people loved, all the nostalgia in the right ways. So it hit all the right buttons, both trailers that they released, and it broke my heart when this movie got delayed so far into the future. In fact, I went to the movies a couple months back, and they handed me a cup with my soda in it, and it was a Top Gun cup that said, "Coming June 2020. And it tore my heart in half that hadn't happened, and I haven't seen this movie yet. Anyway, I can't wait to check this one out, so it comes in at number one. If you enjoyed this video, remember there's a companion to it over on Patreon with 10 more movies I'm excited for. That link is down below in the description, or if you want to check out something else, Right over there is my ranking of all 45 DC movies. That took a long time to do. I'd really appreciate it if you checked that one out. Thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies too much.